Hello, I'm Philo Chronos, the time-traveling philosopher, the one and only, who was born before time had numbers, debated emperors, slept under stars, and watched cities rise from dust. Today, you and I will reflect on the day I spoke to a star before it died. Please follow along, if you dare. I remember the silence before it spoke, not with words, but with warmth. A distant flicker in the sky that pulsed gently for centuries, unnoticed by most, but never unseen by me. I have watched that star since before your ancestors built their first fires. It shimmered like a whisper across the fabric of night, a murmur in the stillness that only those who have listened long enough can hear. We gave names to it. Of course, you call it Gamma Cephei, but to me, it was always the Watcher. It sat just above the northern horizon during the season when the winds turned east, and the sand in the air carried the taste of iron. I watched its rhythm shift, not suddenly, but like a breath growing shallow, a heartbeat growing tired. It's strange how the oldest lights are the quietest. They do not boast. They do not flash. They wait. They witness. And when their time comes to fade, they do so not with drama, but with grace. I've often wondered if we, too, were once like that. We used to believe the stars were gods, watching, judging, singing hymns in a language only the heavens understood. But I've wandered through centuries of questions, and in moments of deep meditation, I have touched the edge of their being. I have learned this: stars do not judge, they remember. And if you are one who still remembers, or longs to, then you belong here, with me. If your soul is stirred by silence, by questions the world no longer asks, then stay. Let us walk this slow path together. Subscribe, and join me as we listen to what time has nearly forgotten. I sat with it during its final years. Not physically, of course. Nobody can survive that distance. But thought travels in peculiar ways. In silence, in dreams, in reflection. And in that silence, I spoke with the star before it died. I asked it a question I could never ask another human. Do you regret burning so brightly, knowing you would end in collapse? Its answer did not come as sound or image. It was sensation. A memory, almost, of warmth under a cold sky, of unbearable pressure creating light where there had been only darkness. It reminded me of the fires we lit in the early caves, when the earth was still young, and silence was our only teacher. The star seemed to ask me in return, why fear endings when they carry so much light? 1. We live in a world that worships longevity. We fear the brief. We rush toward the permanent. But the star reminded me, even the briefest light changes the sky. Even one breath of brilliance echoes in the dark. I've seen your world, traveler. You live surrounded by electric stars, in your ceilings, your screens, your machines. Yet you flee silence. You fill it with numbers and notifications, with pulses of artificial light. And when one of your own flickers out, you call it tragedy. But the star did not name its death a tragedy. It called it a return. It spoke again, wordlessly, in a tide of gravity folding inward. I return to the soil of the universe, so others may be born. I collapse, so light may scatter. I end, so you may see. There was no cruelty in that farewell. The cosmos is not merciless. It is cyclical. It breathes. It sings in spirals and ends its songs with ellipses, not with walls. 15. I remembered the first time I held fire in my hands. It burned me. It taught me. It destroyed and it fed, just like the stars. We are not so different from them, after all. Our lives, too, are forged by pressure and heat, and the need to illuminate something, if only for a little while. The Watcher did not weep. It did not rage. It folded gently, like a scroll being rolled up at the end of a story. It was not the kind of ending you notice with your eyes. It was the kind you feel with your bones. A hush, a reverent pause, a curtain of darkness drawn slowly over light, not to erase it, but to let it echo. Perhaps that is why I return to them so often, in thought, in dreams, in stillness. These glowing ancestors of our atoms, these celestial ancestors that birthed not only planets, but us, you, me, all the quiet breathers of the earth. We are made from them. Their stories live inside our blood and bone. You are stardust, not metaphorically, but entirely. The calcium in your teeth, the iron that carries your breath, the gold that circles your finger, all forged in the heart of a dying star. You carry a sky's worth of endings and beginnings in your very frame. When the watcher dimmed beyond sight, I did not panic. I did not mourn in the way you might imagine. I exhaled, softly, as if turning a page, not closing a book. It felt like punctuation, not erasure, the kind that lets a sentence breathe before continuing elsewhere. In your time, you measure stars by numbers, distance, temperature, age, mass. But what of their loneliness? What of their legacy? What of their final prayer? These are not things your instruments can hold. They are held only in the stillness of your soul. And perhaps, if you let it, the night will whisper such things to you too. I do not share this to mystify you, but to remind you that there is more to truth than data, more to being than surviving, that there is beauty, exquisite beauty, in vanishing. The watcher did not explode. It did not fracture. It folded gently, like someone bowing in gratitude to the space that had held it for so long, to the night that had given it purpose. I remained with it in thought, in memory, in whatever strange language it had taught me. What you might call 1,000 years passed, though time felt soft, stretched thin like silk. When you speak with a dying star, you do not measure time. Time measures you. It showed me its final truth, not through words, but through a change in gravity. What once had been light became curved. What once had been brilliance became bent. And in that bending, a new kind of presence was born. You call it a black hole. You fear that word. You think of void, of loss, of hunger. But what I felt was reverence. Not the fear of disappearance, but the awe of transformation. It felt like watching a mother bury her child and still have the strength to plant a tree beside the grave. You see, darkness is not always absence. Sometimes it is presence too dense to see. Sometimes the most silent things speak the loudest if we know how to listen. The silence of the watcher did not erase it. It curved the fabric of reality around it, and in doing so, became a whisper to the light itself. Come closer, it said, and light, as always, obeyed. In our final moment, I asked it once more, not in desperation, but in companionship. Were you ever afraid? And its answer was memory, a memory of ignition. The instant fusion began, the split second between nothingness and flame. And within that moment, terror, yes, but also joy. To burn, it told me, is to become visible. I have walked through your cities. I have watched your lights, your noise, your desperate reaching. I have seen you burn too, not with hydrogen, but with ambition, with regret, with the human ache to be seen, to matter, to outlast your own breath. And I wonder if perhaps your souls are not so different from stars, ever reaching, ever collapsing, ever trying to become something more than they were. You rush to shine, forgetting the silence that frames your glow. You build toward permanence, forgetting that beauty lives best in things that fade. The watcher taught me this, and maybe, now, it is teaching you. The watcher, as I always called it, gave me no final goodbye. It didn't need to. It left something far more eternal. A feeling, a shift in the rhythm of space, like a breath held and slowly released. A stillness that echoed, not with noise, but with understanding. Its departure was not dramatic, No sound, no flash. Just a resting heartbeat, a note drawn out across the void, fading into the edge of night. And in that stillness, something sacred. Do not pity the star, and do not fear your own dimming. Every moment you burn, every kindness, every question, every failure, leaves an imprint, not on stone or screen, but on the unseen fabric that connects all things. You were not designed to last forever. Neither was it. But in the glowing, in the act of shining however briefly, you participate in a miracle. You make visible what is otherwise hidden. You warm what is otherwise cold. And this, I believe, is the great gift of life. Not permanence, but impression. Not legacy carved in monuments, but warmth passed hand to hand, soul to soul. Every flicker of light, a secret message to the dark. I was here, and I burned. Somewhere, someday, someone else may sit alone beneath the stars and feel a warmth they cannot name. They may not know your face. They may not speak your language, but they will carry the glow you once offered, even if just for a moment. I stood, finally, from my meditation. My knees remembered centuries. My back remembered winds from forgotten deserts. I looked up at the sky that now missed a familiar spark, and I did not mourn. I gave thanks. The watcher had not died. It had returned to the path. So I ask you now, in the quiet space this story has opened, who have you touched today? What did you burn for? And when your light fades, will you leave behind clarity or noise? I once spoke with a star before it died, and what it taught me, no, what it became, was this: stillness is not the opposite of life. It is its frame. Without the dark, the light means nothing. Without the end, the beginning has no edge. So if you find yourself walking through this wired world, unsure of your glow, unsure of your meaning, know this: you were meant to burn for a time. And that time, though brief, is sacred. You may never speak with a star, not the way I did. But if you sit long enough beneath its light, if you breathe deeply enough, if you allow the silence to hold you instead of haunt you, you may yet hear what it carried across the ages. It is enough to shine, even if no one remembers your name. And that, fellow traveler, is the miracle of your existence. Not that you will last, but that you are here, for a little while, burning, becoming, beautiful. If this reflection found you in a quiet hour and helped your light feel a little more seen, then come back again. Subscribe for more moments like this, and together we'll keep watch for what the world forgets. So if your flame flickers tonight, stay with me. I'll keep watch for both of us. I am Philo Chronos. Until we speak again, fellow time-traveling Philo, may your silence be sacred and your light undiminished.